This is Dr. Johnathan Lotson, and you are looking at a look at leadership. I'm so excited to share with you on today, and our topic is constant development always win. As we look at leadership, I want you to know that one of the major components of being a great leader is constant development. It is such a terrible, terrible, terrible place for a leader to find him or herself in when they are thinking or they are under the illusion that they have learned it all and that they have no more growth, that they cannot grow anymore. That is a terrible place for a leader to be. And I want to just talk about the importance of having the mindset of needing to develop constantly. That is a mindset that is going to help you. Is really going to help you, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But it's going to help you in a way that it just will pay over time. And again, it'll make sense as we go on. But sometimes as you are making sure that you are developing, it has a way to impact those who are watching you. And over time, you will be able to get great results from your seed that you've sown of modeling the importance of constant development. And so I want you to consider this topic, and I want you to make sure that you put this as a practice in your personal life and in the life of your organization. Before I dive into this, I want you to know that you as a leader, it's very key for you to develop constantly, even in your personal life. Sometimes we try to separate our personal life from our business life, but I want you to know, friend, that it's not really going to help you to even consider that, because your personal life and your business life, it is inseparable. Have you ever read something on the news or read something in the paper or watched something on the news and you learned that such and such did something in their personal life and their business just went down? Have you ever heard of how one had a great thing going in their business life and it helped their personal life? You know, all of these things, they're interconnected. And I want you to know that it's so important that you constantly develop, yes, in your business, yes, as a leader, but that you do not forfeit your personal life and your development there, because it is going to drastically help you to be a great leader and to build, to lead, to provide vision to your organization, your business, or your ministry. So I just wanted to share that with you before we really dived in on today. And so again, one of the worst places a leader can find themselves is a place in which they feel as if they cannot develop any more than what they've already developed in the areas in which they've already developed. And it's so important that we change that mindset and that we make sure that we constantly are developing. Why is it important? I'm so happy you asked. One of the main reasons why constantly developing ourselves is so important is because it helps us to remain humble. I know you cannot stand an arrogant leader. However, humble leaders, they are loved, they are adored, they're honored, they're respected. And as we consider developing constantly, it keeps us humble because it allows us to know that there is so much more out there. It allows us to know that we don't know it all and that we need to be humble. Being humble is one of the keys of great leaders that is unfortunately not talked about a whole lot. But humility will help you to get into some doors, to have opportunities that even your expertise couldn't afford you. There's something about humility that just does something to people. And I want you to know that it is looked at, it is valuable, and it is felt. And I want to deal with the emotional part of being humble. It is something that is felt. When someone encounters you, they get a sense of humility in you. They will go over and beyond. They will do so many different things. They'll spend money with you. They'll do business with you because of your humility. However, the lack of humility, it can close doors for you. It can tarnish relationships and so much more. And I want you to understand that the value of humility, that it is so rich. And we have to make sure that we realize that we need to constantly develop, because as we keep in our mind that we need to constantly develop, it serves as a foundation of providing us a platform in which we can be humble. And I want you to know that as we are humble, it helps us to build relationships. And as we build relationships, it positions us to do great, great things. And so humility is such a major component of great leaders. And how do we become humble? One of the ways in which we become humble is by realizing that we need to develop. When we realize that we need to develop, no matter what the area is, once we realize that we need to develop, it helps us to realize, wow, I need to remain humble because I do not know it all. And we have to realize that even in certain areas in our lives that we feel as if we know everything about, or we feel like we have a great understanding on it, there's always room to be humble, because no matter how long you've been in a career, no matter how long you've been in the field, we will never ever know it all. And even if you knew everything about one particular area, that does not entail the whole compass or the whole organization, which means we need to always, always be humble, because it helps us to really go far. And so humility, it is something that comes as a result of realizing that we need to develop in other areas. And so I want you to keep that in your mind. When we know that we have areas in which we need to develop, that's a reason to be humble. And there are so many results of being humble. Sometimes you will find people talking down on humility. Of course, you want to be proud of your work. You want to be proud of yourself. You want to have confidence. But it is very much so possible to be confident and humble. It is so much so possible to be humble and yet know a great deal of something, or know a lot of people, or whatever the case may be, or whatever those things that people deem to be to give them a right not to be humble, whatever those things may be. There's always room for humility. And I want you to know that. And it bears so much fruit. And it is humility is going to be a blessing to you and to those around you. Where does this stem from? It stems from, one of the ways in which it stems from is being able to know and to accept that you don't know it all, and that there's room for development. Another thing I want you to know is that constant development, it helps us to remain relevant. So many things are changing. However, as we are developing ourselves, we're able to learn more. We're able to know what ways things are being implemented in today's society. What I mean by that is this: of course, there have been preaching and so forth for years. However, the way in which people execute preaching, it has changed throughout the years. Marketing has been around for years. However, the way and the means in which marketing is done now has changed throughout the years. And you can think about this in every area, whatever sector you are in. I can't go down the list of every single one, but just consider the field in which you're in. Even real estate, real estate's been around for years, but how real estate is done and how it is performed and how it is performed in excellence and efficiency now, it has changed. And so it's important that a leader, that they constantly develop themselves, because as they constantly develop themselves, they're able to learn different ways to do things now. And you do not want to be a leader who's so worried about the past and trying to only use the things that worked in the past, because sometimes what happened or what worked in the past will not work as easily, or may not even work at all in the present. And one of the things that I like to tell myself is this: that what it took to get me here is not what it's going to take to get me there. And so sometimes when we think about being effective leaders, we have to know that we have to continue to learn. We have to continue to develop, because whatever you did to get you to where you are now, it's going to take a little bit more to get you to your next level. And so you have to keep that in your mind, because that is going to push you, or should push you, to develop more. Another reason why we consider or why I consider being relevant, and how I consider that in connection to constant development, is this: as we constantly develop, we are relevant not because of only our knowledge, but also because of the relationships that we gain as we are developing. And we have to keep this in our minds, because being relevant, it is not always about or doesn't end at just knowing a lot, but being relevant also has to do with who you know, because there are some things that can happen. There are some doors that can open to you, not necessarily because of what you know, because truth be told, there's thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people who know exactly what you know. But there's some areas and some doors that are only open to you because of the relationship that you have with individuals who are able to help you to get access to these doors and to these income streams and to so many other things. And so we want to keep this in our mind, that as we constantly develop, we learn more, our knowledge, it grows. However, as we constantly develop, as we are journeying through, we are also building relationships, and our relational capital, it is growing. And that is something that is imperative for the life and the success of every leader and the organization that he or she leads. And so that is very important. It's one of the ways that constantly developing, how it really helps us to reach and to fulfill our optimal purpose and our optimal success. It helps us to really get there and to do great things. I want to share something with you finally, that constant development as a leader, it provides us a goal or a standard for those who we lead to follow. Let's say that again. Having constant development, constantly developing, it helps us to serve as a model. It serves as a standard or goal that those who we are leading, for them to try to adopt, for them to try to reach towards. I want you to know that a leader will not be able to do great things by themselves. And if you know as a leader that what it took to get you there, get you here rather, is not what the same thing is going to help you to get you there. If you know that, you have to also realize that the who your team is or what your team did to get you here is not what it's going to take for your team to help you get you there. And so this growth mentality, this constant development mentality that you have, it has to trickle down and has to be seen in the lives of those who you lead, because they need to also grow with you. One of the things that you do not want is to find yourself so far ahead of those who you lead that once you get there, you don't have the people there, or they're not even equipped to serve you there. You do not want to get to where you've been trying to get to and you're alone, and you have to try to find out, how in the world am I going to navigate and to operate where I am or where I've come to. But you want to make sure that as you're growing, as you are leading, that your team isn't too far behind you, because you're bringing them with you. One of the things that we have to make sure that we do as leaders is even in our constant development, that we're not leaving those who we provide leadership to, that we're not leaving them behind. But we want to make sure that as we're growing, they're growing. As we're learning, they're learning. As we're developing, they're developing. So that with you, as you're growing, even of course, your team may have to change here or there, but even as you're growing, your team is growing with you. And it's a constant connection, because we have to realize, as I previously stated, you cannot do everything alone. And the last thing you want to do is to be able to climb the ladder, get to the top, and realize, wow, I'm at the top and I need to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't have anybody to help me. So you want to make sure that as you're developing, as you're constantly developing, that those who are with you, that they're constantly developing as well. And we have to make sure that we are creating opportunities for them to develop. We're developing, we want to make sure that we create opportunities for them to develop. Are we offering any type of training? Are we offering any type of coaching? Do they have an opportunity to sit with you, to meet with you, to get advice or to get instructions or clarity or whatever the case may be? If those things are not happening, we have to reconsider, because as I've stated, we have to make sure that we are developing personally and as in our organizations and as leaders, but we have to also make sure that our team is developing as well, because it's going to help us as we continue to grow and as we continue to succeed. Just want to share one quick thing that you could do to make sure that they're developing with you. Consider having some type of reading or book club, because the things that you're reading, maybe not everything, but some of the things that you're reading, You may want them to read. You may want them to study. Go ahead and create some type of book club or some type of way in which they could get access at least to the things that you're using to develop yourself, and then make room for discussion. And so I want you to consider that, because it's going to help you. It's going to help your organization, because it is going to help you all to grow together, to develop together, and to constantly develop. Because constantly developing as leaders and as an organization, it'll cause you to always win. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. And I want you to make sure, please make sure that you are constantly developing. Because if you are not constantly developing, you'll find yourself left behind, and you don't want that. I hope that you've enjoyed our time together. Again, this is Dr. Johnathan Lotson, and you're looking at a look at leadership. If you're watching this and you're not saved, I want you to join this awesome, awesome, awesome body of believers that are everywhere. I want you to join us. I want you to be saved. I want you to give God your life. And so right where you are, if you're not saved, I want you to simply believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ, that he came and that he lived, he died, and that he rose again. And I want you to believe that. I want you to confess that. If you do that, you will be saved. Take a look at the book of Romans, chapter 10. I want you to read that. I want you to actually just take some time, read 9, 10 as together, kind of see how it flows into the grand scheme of things. And I want you to sit with the scripture, and I want you to also find a Bible-believing, Bible-teaching church, whether it's in person, online, or what have you. I want you to join on in, get saved, and really learn how to just be the best believer, the best Christian that you can possibly be. One of the areas great leaders cannot afford not to do, and that is not to constantly develop their relationship with Jesus Christ. Because as we constantly develop our relationship with Jesus Christ, and as we strengthen our connection with him, we will really excel even in other areas in our lives and in our organization. I want you to make sure you do that. And for those who are saved, who are believers, I want you all to keep on going, keep on striving, keep on doing great things, and keep on developing. And ask God to help you, to show you, to expose to you, so that you can know the areas in which you need to develop, so that you can be the best possible person that you can be. And let's make sure that as we're growing and developing as individuals, that we're also helping our team, our organizations to grow as well. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing to this network. I want you to invite somebody to join us as well. And if you've been blessed by these sessions, these leadership sessions, and you feel led to, you can feel free to Cash App me. Cash App, just Johnathan Lotson. Lotson is Lotson. Cash App and the $ Johnathan Lotson. And I want you to continue to share with people the great things that are happening on this network, because you want to make sure that you're not just getting all this great information by yourself, but that you're bringing others with you to take part in being a part of this great platform and this great network. Again, this is Dr. Johnathan Lotson, and you're looking at a look at leadership. Thank you for tuning in, and I pray that you heard something that will help you on your journey ahead. Peace and blessings. Remember, constantly develop yourself. You'll always win. Peace and blessings. God bless.